I do hope that you're not taking any time off of work, because the Talmud says that you're not allowed to. You're supposed to work 7 days a week according to the Talmud. You say, I can't believe that. Then I'll show you. Page 127. Okay? I'm going to show it with the overhead camera here so you can read it for yourself. As I like to do in all my studies, here it is, the Talmud, Steinsaltz edition, volume 18, Tractate Sanhedrin, part 4. And we will go to page 127. You can see it down there at the bottom of the page. All right? And it just, this whole thing here shows the extreme ignorance of these rabbis of the scriptures. They're very foolish. The Gemara now returns to the laws applying to non-Jews. Resh Lakish said, if a non-Jew ceased working for a whole day, he is liable for execution, as the verse states, Genesis 8:22. We'll come back to this later, and it says, day and night shall not cease. That means we're not allowed to stop working. Okay. A Jew is commanded to observe a weekly day of rest, but a non-Jew is forbidden to cease working for an entire day. Huh? Day and night shall not cease? It's talking about the earth, the cycles of the earth that the Lord created. Seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. It has nothing to do with you having to work all the time. What a bunch of nonsense. And it was stated above, wherever the Torah imposed a prohibition on non-Jews, the punishment for violating that prohibition is execution. They want to kill you. Ravina said, not only is the non-Jew liable for execution if he refrained from working on the Jewish Sabbath, but even if he refrained from working on a Monday or some other day of the week, he is liable for that same punishment. The Gemara objects, if it is so that a non-Jew is commanded to keep working without taking a day of rest, then that obligation should have been counted along with the other 7 Noahide laws. The Noahide laws are in the Talmud? I never knew that until I was reading this volume, and I thought, there you go, the old Noahide laws. And for those of you out there that just think to yourself, oh, it's some screwball religion thing, it doesn't affect me, I don't care, whatever, a Christian arguing with a Jew, whatever, who cares? You might want to look into the fact that this Jewish Sanhedrin in Israel contacted President Trump, and they're trying to put pressure on him to enact the Noahide laws here in America, where if you blaspheme God according to the Jewish standards, you'll be executed. And according to this right here, they're saying, some of the rabbis, not all of them, but some of them are saying, if you're not working 7 days a week, you try to take a day off, boom, you're executed. You might want to pay attention to some religious stuff occasionally. Down here it says, day and night, and the verse, day and night shall not cease, teaches that non-Jews are bound by a positive commandment to continue working without taking a day of rest. Okay. Down here, the notes, it says, if a non-Jew ceased working, according to Rama, the prohibition applying to a non-Jew against resting from work falls under the category of robbery. For someone who rests from work fails to fulfill his obligations to the world. Others argue that a non-Jew who sets aside a day of rest is liable, for he is seen as attempting to create a new religion. Oh, you mean like Christianity? Isn't that nice? It's almost like they're trying to say that non-Jews are animals that shouldn't be given time off. We're just supposed to work and work and work until we drop, and then our Jewish overlords are supposed to come along and say, okay, get rid of that animal, get a new one, put him in there behind the machine, get to work, animal. Just, whip the bullwhip over our shoulder or something, like a bunch of animals. But let's actually go to the scriptures now and look at this thing of Genesis chapter 8. It's this death penalty prohibition that the Lord's saying, if you don't work 7 days a week, then you're going to be liable. I'm going to make sure that you're executed, which is kind of funny because God wasn't even dealing with the nation of Israel at that point in time. Okay, before the flood, before the separation of the nations and everything else. So it's kind of hard to use Genesis chapter 8, where it's dealing with all people. Kind of hard to use that for doctrine, Now, the Sabbath day is given to the Jews as a sign. I get it. I have a whole study on that, Sabbath or Sunday. But the whole point is they were worshiping the Lord on the first day of the week in the book of Acts. And the Lord himself met with the disciples on the first day of the week. So taking a day off, yeah, God set us that example. And there's a 1,000-year period coming, so there's 1,000 years of rest. One day with the Lord is as 1,000 years. Again, the millennial kingdom, if you don't understand that. The earth is around for 6,000 years, and then the 7,000th year, that period there, is the time when the Lord is going to be ruling and reigning on the earth. Physically, ruling and reigning on the earth. That's what the Bible teaches, the premillennial coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. Studies to prove it. If you're too lazy to watch it and whatever else, well, that's not my problem, it's your problem. But Genesis chapter 8, verses 20 through 22. You have a good future coming if you're saved. If you are lost, well, future's not looking good. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast, and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. So the Lord's saying, okay, I did the flood there, wiped out all the flesh besides Noah and his family. I'm not going to do that again. That's what the whole purpose of the rainbow is. All right, that's a reminder there. Verse 22. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. So the Lord's saying, I'm going to keep things going now. The creation is just going to go to bear witness of me, and it's going to be there for people, for my creation. He's not saying, there's nothing even implied in that passage about, Jews get to have a day off, but non-Jews have to work for 7 days. Non-Jews shouldn't be allowed. They're animals. Where do you get that stuff from? Unless you're some kind of a devil-possessed rabbi someplace that rejects the New Testament. That's the only way that you can get that type of a thing. It's crazy. I mean, if you had to go in a court of law or something that was not biased, if people were just open-minded, nobody would agree with the rabbis on that and say, well, I can see where it says non-Jews have to work 7 days a week. Well, because day and night shall not cease. Well, huh? Day and night shall not cease. The most rabid atheist would say, well, yeah, I agree with that. Day and night are kind of constant. They happen, every day. That's all the verse is saying. It's not saying that you have to work 7 days a week. So, a bunch more videos to do here out of this nutty edition of the Talmud. But look out. If you have Jews in your area that are studying this stuff and implementing this stuff, and you see Jews in social media or whatever else, and they're talking about how great the Talmud is, now you know that they're lying. Be very careful.